Ladies and gentlemen, I am Chandrakant. Welcome to Spotlight. And as usual, let me welcome my friend from London, Mr. Neville Gant. Neville, welcome again. How is this morning today in London?
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. London is another beautiful sunny day. Going to be 26 degrees today. So it's off and put your t-shirts on. So t-shirts and shorts day. So and we've got a fantastic Spotlight version today, which I'm really looking forward to getting into.
Certainly, and you are lucky, Neville, because India is reeling under a hot wave. I think temperature has already crossed 46 degrees, so it's quite hot here. But nevertheless, let me introduce our guest today to you. She's joining us from Singapore, and as she calls herself, she is economist by training, she is a banker by profession, and she is an entrepreneur by profession. She is a truly global citizen. She has lived in many countries. She started many organizations, and we are privileged to have Ms. Farida Charania joining us on Spotlight. Welcome to the show, Farida.
Thank you, CK. Thank you, Neville. I'm very excited. I am so looking forward to this discussion. Thank you.
So, Farida, I will also introduce you as the CEO of Career Zoom, which you have recently started, and the viewers who are watching this program will know about you and what you're doing, how it is helping the society, how it is helping the professions. And with this, I will have Neville start the conversation with you and diving deep into what you're thinking with Career Zoom, what is your future roadmap, and all of that. So, Neville, over to you.
Thanks very much, CK. And Farida, welcome to the show. We're going to be talking today about probably my favourite topic, people, or as you call it, human capital. What a fantastic name, actually, because a lot of people will know people in large organisations as human resources, as though there is some sort of inanimate issue being a resource. But capital, to me, is such a great term because it's like an investment. And every organisation around the world talks about people being their best investment. And we're going to, through this interview today, hopefully explain what that really means. So let's delve straight in, Farida. And
awesome.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, awesome. Love it. And let's talk about what is the role of human capital in human development?
Let me give it a little bit of a background as to what my understanding of difference between human capital and human resources is. Human resources is a general term which you use to represent the people who are part of the organization. Human capital is actually used to describe the same people, but as assets, and who could be actually, converted to assets by giving them the right kind of training, and they would grow, and hence once they grow, it would help the company and the company would grow as well. So that's my understanding of the difference between human resources and human capital. Human resources are people who work for you. Human capital are people who work with you and grow with you.
That's a really good distinction. And I come from a little bit of your background. I'm an economist too. I'm also a mathematician, and that's now turned a lot of people off. And it's going to be even worse now because I'm going to admit to being an accountant, and that's turned a lot of more people off. But the thing is, you talk about an asset. So let's just delve into that asset arena. Why is it important that we treat people as assets?
The world is changing much faster than anyone actually thought it would. What was a job yesterday has changed drastically today. People who had secure jobs are now actually taking, performance-driven kind of work, gig economy, as we say, future of work. Things are changing very rapidly. Now, it's important to basically look at people as assets, because if an organization does not look after them, there are many avenues. Today, you can actually make money by being a freelancer and offering to sing a song in people's name. So, there are a lot of options which are available. And if, just take an example, and I say this very often. In the past, the manager was the driver of performance. Today, the manager is a curator of results. So it's very, very important to make sure that the people that you actually bring into the organization are people who would give you those results. And to make that possible, it's very important to keep investing in human capital. And hence, the whole shift from, talking about human resources to human capital. Because when you walk into an organization as a talent, the expectation is that you would contribute to the growth, not just simply do your job and go back. So that's why it's, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I may say, that it's very important to treat people not just as resources, but as a capital, which would grow if you invest in the right kind of upskilling.
Oh, you're absolutely right. You're really speaking my language, if you like, right the way through my corporate career in many respects, about investing time in people. And we do know, of course, that the research that's been done is that the more people are engaged, the more performance, the more productivity you get out of people. So let's talk a little bit about that transformation. So how can human capital transform companies?
This is a very broad scope, but I'll try my best to answer it, because I can speak for 7 hours on this. This is my favorite topic. But let's look at some results which come out of this activity. I'll give you an example. I used to run part of the COO office at Barclays in Singapore, and I was responsible for the region. One of the programs that actually fell under my purview was manager engagement program. Now, the thinking behind that is that if the employees of an organization, that's your human capital as you say, feel engaged, they contribute better. There is lesser attrition. When new people come in, they adjust in better because they have a sense of belonging and empowerment. So what really happens is that when the human capital transformation is happening, there are things which are changing, and things are changing very rapidly. Your systems are changing, your approach to work is changing. At one point in time, you had waterfall technology, and today everything is agile. So that essentially means that anyone in an organization should be able to pick up their skills and be able to actually do any job that needs to be done. So the way this entire transformation shapes up not just an organization, but shapes up the future of work is that anyone who is able to contribute to an organization will be viewed as an asset. And that's the transformation that we are talking about by investing in the people, in the right kind of upskilling, and giving them empowerment so they feel engaged, they can stay longer, and they can contribute better. End of the day, we are talking about top lines and bottom lines, so they would be able to contribute better if they are better engaged.
No, that's brilliant, because I mean businesses have all these KPIs, and it is about top line and bottom line improvement. And you talk about people being an asset, but as an accountant, we never value those assets on the balance sheet. They're always in the profit and loss and cash flow. So there's no real, we don't have a goodwill assigned to these assets, which again are really important people. And of course, when we hire them, we believe they're talented. Otherwise, we wouldn't have hired them. So what happens after that part? So it's the managing that transformation of human capital. So is it the role of the manager now needs to fundamentally change?
Yes. So I would approach this from the top. So my approach would be top down here. It is not just the manager, but it starts from the leadership, the corporate functions which actually drive behaviors. So, Transformation is a behavior and it can be driven. So it comes from HR. Now, the human resources department or human capital department, the department which makes sure that the human resources actually transform to human capital. So their role is changing. It's no longer just transactional. It's a lot about being able to add value, because there are machines which can do everything that transactionally was done in the past. Your offer letters are already templated and they could be, automatically made. Your reference checks, there are companies which do it. And it's important, whatever you can outsource, you need to outsource, because they need to actually, the economy needs to grow. Everything needs to circulate. Unless you put back in the economy, it's not going to come back to you. So the whole process is actually driven from the top. Now, what is the role of the manager? Like I mentioned, in the past, the manager was driver of performance. Today, they are a curator of results. What does that mean? So there is leadership. So there is a company. So that's an organization. There's a leadership which basically has an agenda, and then there are managers which need to find the best way to execute that agenda. How will that happen? Because these managers have their teams which would be doing a certain job, and that job will be completed. It's not a transaction, but it needs to basically have some kind of MPIs. I don't like the word KPI. I always say MPIs because it's measurable performance indicator. I'm ex-HSBC and I learned this there. So the MPI is something that the manager is actually responsible for, and that is again a chain reaction. So I think today the manager's role has changed significantly. Earlier, they would have like a list of things to be done and they would assign it to people who would do those things. Today, they have a list of objectives they need to achieve, and then there are people responsible to achieve those objectives, and the manager is collectively responsible for several such objectives. So I think that has fundamentally changed, and I think my career is 20 years long. In the first 10 years, I didn't see so much difference in the way things were working. But in the last 10 years, the difference that I have seen is huge. It's something, and I work with people all the time because I am in the human capital space. And that difference is now so obvious. Even, the young adults who come out of universities, their thinking has been shaped by the way, today's world is. And I see a huge amount of difference in the way people answered when I interviewed them 10 years ago, and I interview them now. The obvious one is when I actually hire interns. The way they think is very different, because everyone knows unless they contribute, unless they actually add value, they don't have a job. So that has fundamentally changed.
That's really interesting, and I think anyone that's seen this arena over the last 40 years, I'm going to go expanded now because I'm a little bit older than you. I didn't come from that HR type background. I worked in an oil and gas industry, and I was an accountant. So I was a finance manager that travelled the world and troubleshooted issues. We didn't have time to think. We just had to do it, because time then was money. Even today, time's money. So, well, a question I've got for you though, and it's always burning inside of me. We know that we've had leadership development courses. Every large organisation, you've talked about HSBC and Barclays, these are large organisations that literally throw people on talent management programs, leadership development, etc., etc. Do you think any of those have actually worked?
Let me actually, just tell you an anecdote. Last year, when in Singapore, the finance minister read out the budget. Budget in most countries is a big discussion. So some of us were invited by our Minister of Home Affairs in a closed door meeting, just to kind of understand what we think about the budget. And we went around the table. When it was my turn, the Honorable Minister asked me, what do I think about the budget? And I laughed. I said, the Finance Minister has read the budget. The entire Parliament has actually seen it. The Prime Minister has blessed it. my opinion is not going to make a difference. So I would say the same thing. These organizations are large organizations, and I do believe they have very capable advisors who are telling them what to do. And definitely some of it must be working. That's why they are having it. But I think it's work in progress. So now what I was saying before is in jest, but if seriously I want to look at it, I think it is work in progress. Definitely leadership is a skill and it can be acquired. It is, I mean, we do talk about people are born leaders, but that's not really entirely true, because leadership is a skill and it can be acquired and it can be polished with training. So definitely the leadership programs, would be useful in developing these people. It may not work for everyone. It may not, enhance everyone's skill. It may not turn everyone into leaders, but that's anyways not what's expected. So if 10 of them are put into this program, the expectation is that one would actually become a leader who would be then used as someone who is part of their succession planning. So definitely it helps. It may not kind of change everything, but it is work in progress. And I think we are not very far from the time where we would be able to understand who are the right people to pick for these programs.
Oh, I think you're right. I think, as you said before, I mean, I use the term manager very loosely. As you're absolutely right, it's the C-suite down. If the top are not engaged with these change performance programs, then frankly, it's not going to filter down right to the bottom line. But this is such a huge subject. And now I'd like to talk just a little bit about Career Zoom. What a great name for an organisation. But you really should zoom in on your career. So tell us a little bit about what role is going to be played by your organisation.
Yes. So let me just kind of give you a little information on what is Career Zoom. In fact, today is the official launch, so this is very, very timely. Career Zoom is basically CXO on demand and executive search. Now, we are going through very, very different times, unprecedented times, as you just mentioned when we started talking. Nobody knew that something like this would happen, and a lot of organizations kind of prepare with a business continuity plan, but a lot of them don't expect to put it in practice for so long. Now, because of whatever is happening, there are a lot of senior people who are available for short-term projects. The reason being either they are furloughed, as we say back in the UK, or they've been put on unpaid leave, as we say in Singapore, or they've lost their jobs, as a lot of people globally. So they are available for short-term assignments or long-term assignments till they can actually find their next, their next assignment, big assignment. There are a lot of companies who cannot afford to invest in, very senior people at this point in time, because again, nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. But work can't stop because, life goes on. So Career Zoom basically is, the model of Career Zoom is to make sure that these parties are available to each other. So the companies who are looking for senior resources to help them complete certain projects, and people who can actually do them. So Career Zoom aims to bring, these people on the same platform. We also actually, so my team and I, we also focus on making sure that we get these executives market ready, because things are changing very rapidly and it's difficult to make people unlearn things. So we do have a program where we help them align themselves to the market. A lot of them do not know what to charge if they go on a short-term project. So, again, there is an advisory as to what should, their experience command in the market space. So that is one part, an executive search, where we help our clients walk the right talent through the door. So these are two practices that we run under Career Zoom. Our executive search is called Prime Talent, and that's what we do. We are based out of Singapore. Our scope is global, but the markets that I am personally very, very familiar with is, of course, within Asia Pac, Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, India, Hong Kong, not so much China. In the UK, England definitely, where I have done a lot of work, and the Nordic countries, which I am very, very familiar with, and the Middle East, UAE, where I have done a lot of work. So I've lived and worked in UAE as well, and that's another market which is slightly different. But my own experience is pretty intimate in that market. So this is the scope of our services.
That's brilliant, because I can see lots of companies have downsized. It's going to be a phenomena that we're going to probably experience for the next 18 months, if not longer. And there's some incredibly qualified executives out there, senior leadership from large organizations that need matching to their career in potentially a new career. Stopgap, maybe an interim manager, as we call them in the UK. I prefer to call them interim executives, because that's the quality of people that are in the market today. And I can see you're perfectly placed to guide these inexperienced people in the gig economy that's out there. They've become consultants overnight and not really trained to be a consultant. They've been payrolled all their life, but they've still got so much to give. And I'm so pleased that you're here launching. We're at the birth of your organization today. So it's really great to put you in that spotlight. I've thoroughly enjoyed having our little chat. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more that you and I are going to be talking about in the future. But thank you again for coming on the show today. Any closing remarks you'd like to say about a little snippet of where you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it?
Yes. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. This is something that I can't stop stressing enough. Every time I actually kind of look back, I want to be proud of something that I have created of value, and I am blessed enough to be in that position that when I look back, I know that I did create something which actually added value to the world. Maybe in a very small way. So I have believed, and I continue to believe, that if life closes a door, open it again, because it's a door and that's how it's supposed to work. So thank you very much, gentlemen. It was lovely chatting to you, and thank you to all the viewers who are watching this, and I wish you a very, very safe transition into the new normal, and I hope you and your families are well. My best to everyone who's watching this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Farida, and listen to the name, people, because this organisation, based in the sort of Southeast Asia corner, Career Zoom, is going to literally help you in your next career. So my advice is to anyone listening, get hold of Farida. She's on LinkedIn. That's how she found me and I found her. That's a great place to be. Start your career off with a bang. So thanks again, Farida. Delightful speaking with you, and here's to your success.
Thank you very much.
Yes, in fact, I thoroughly enjoyed every word of the conversation today. And ladies and gentlemen, we will leave the contact details of Career Zoom after this conversation, and anyone can reach out to Farida just in case. Farida, it was a pleasure. Hope to see you again on Spotlight.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is all mine. Have a fantastic day.
Bye-bye.
Bye. you.